When board games give us more, we're rolling with more. Hi, I'm Will, and with me as always is the person who got a robot vacuum cleaner and called it Puppy.
That is true. But my name is Sarah.
And today we're checking out a small expansion for Raising Robots called Raising Robots Pets. Now, if you're curious about the base game, you can check out our other videos, Rolling with Reviews, Raising Robots, and Rolling with 2, Raising Robots. Sarah?
Yes.
Why do we have the base game box here and not a little box for the expansion?
Because we have the deluxe edition, which came with the Pets expansion inside. We don't actually know what the Pets expansion looks like on its own, but it is a mini expansion, so I can't imagine it's very big.
Well, if Sarah remembers the editing Sarah, she will pull it up a picture if there is one for that little box.
Exactly. But for what comes in Pets expansion, it adds new inventors and new pet robots that have some new abilities and ways to interact with other robots. And like we said, this deluxe version includes it, but it is available separately for those who buy the retail version. So let's go over what changes this little expansion adds, starting with the inventors. Some of the inventors themselves mimic what the pets can do, which we'll talk about in a moment, but otherwise it just adds more variety in the asymmetric powers.
Yeah, in our review, there was an inventor that I raved about that had one power, but you can do all the actions. That was an inventor that came in Raising Robots Pets.
Yep, exactly. So moving on to pets. So one of the things now it's going to look for is adjacency. So it's going to look for robots that are left and right, plus possibly up and down. And they're going to look for something specific and then provide a benefit based on whatever count it's looking for. There are also robots that look for them in the row or column. Again, it's going to count whatever it is it's looking for. Sometimes it's a resource icon or just a type of robot or...
Yeah, and the columns will wrap. So if you have a robot in the first spot of the top column, it's also adjacent to the robot in the first spot in the bottom column.
Right, but the rows do not wrap left and right. So the one on the far left is not adjacent to one on the far right. It can be a little confusing trying to wrap your brain around that, but mostly it's just they wanted to have vertical adjacency to have more robots adjacent to each other, since there is so much horizontal adjacency because the rows are wider than taller. Also, some of these new pet robots can go in any row. So in the base game, all robots go to a very specific row. And I don't think there's too many ways to break that.
No.
But here they now have like a new symbol that shows all three colors in a horizontal little box. And so that means that it can go anywhere. And then there's some pets that mimic board actions. And that's a really neat way to be able to do more of some very important and basic actions.
Yeah, like I really want to do this thing, but since this robot is in this spot, now I can do it.
Right.
That way.
Exactly. So it mixes things up more. But that's pretty much it because it is a mini expansion. So it just adds inventors and pets, which are super adorable as well. On to the two-player experience. Nothing really changes with this expansion.
More variety, but
Yeah.
that's something you'd want in all player counts.
Exactly.
So nothing specific for two players.
For accessibility, it's basically going to be the new iconography that you're going to need to learn, but the rules booklet, and there's a new inventor sheet specifically for the inventors in this. It's really comprehensive. So we didn't have any questions, or I should say all questions we had were answered by the rules and the inventor sheet.
Right.
So it does add more, little bit of complexity, but it's all very well explained.
Yeah.
So before we get to our ratings, let's talk about what we like about this little mini expansion. It's more options.
Yes, that's just always fun.
Yeah.
I will say, though, all the inventors were medium or hard difficulty.
Yes.
So if you're hoping for easy inventors...
I thought there was one.
No, mediums were the lowest it went.
Okay. So I guess that's the other thing is this expansion, like I just said, ramps up the difficulty, or not difficulty, complexity, because you're now looking for more things, especially in the spatial aspect. So that's the only thing accessibility wise to pay attention to is, yeah, if that is a issue for you. But it's not.
Of course,
like it's
I know
complex.
I know some people that are better with spatial
Yeah.
and would find this. Oh, this took the difficulty and went down.
That's true.
Because now I can have the choice. I don't have to be locked into this has to go and fabricate or this has
Right.
to go and recycle. This
Yes.
goes wherever I want.
Exactly. All right, so let's go over our rating changes.
All right, so for the base game, and we did do the special edition, you gave it a 5, I gave it a 6. Did the Pets expansion change anything for you?
No, it didn't change anything significant, which is not surprising because it's a mini expansion. I think it is a wonderful mini expansion because it adds, it does open up certain things a bit more, but I think not enough to like really change my opinion. But I like the variety that it adds, and just having more options and new ways to look at things and having more, what's what I'm looking for? Versatility, like
Yeah.
being able to put a robot in a different row. Like I had an inventor that literally let me put any robot in any row that I wanted to. Granted, I think I did that maybe twice.
Right, you didn't use that too. But then again, part of the reason why I think you shortchanged yourself is in order for us to experience more of Pets, we took all the Pets robots and kind of shuffled it in the top half. So we saw more of those robots, which a lot more of those robots could go anywhere anyway.
Right.
And you're like, well, I don't really need my ability to put a robot
right
anywhere.
So that was trying to experience a little too much of it. So good note to have is when you get this expansion, make sure to shuffle it all throughout so you don't get too much of a...
You don't shortchange
yeah,
yourself.
you don't get too clumped. So that's all pet robots. You
Right.
want to have a mix.
Right.
So what about you? Did it?
I gave it a 6. It stays a 6 because this only gives me more options.
Right.
And I was very surprised to find that the options it gave are like, oh, those are areas in the game that I wouldn't mind seeing, stretched out and explored a bit.
Yep.
So it did well. It synergized well with what existed and expanded upon itself without feeling unnatural, like, oh, I definitely now need pets if I'm
Right.
going to make this mechanic work. No, it still works with the
Right.
base robots too. So it wasn't, it didn't require itself to work, which
Right.
I've seen other expansions do. And it's like, oh, okay, now I need this special icon that only exists on these cards, and I'm mixing it all with the base game, and so the chances of me seeing that are pretty low.
Actually, if anything, because of our condensed nature of having a lot of pet robots, I think it was actually to our detriment because some of them were a bit more specialized. And I think we needed more base game robots mixed in to get some more general, like we could not for the life of us get duct tape.
Yeah.
Because all the pets were a bit more specialized. And so it wasn't until towards the end of the game that we even got anything that gave us duct tape.
Now, we could have used one of the basic abilities,
Yeah.
but we needed a fairly high power to
Right.
get to that level. It's just in the base game, some of the robots would more easily give duct tape.
Right. So it actually is in everyone's benefit to definitely shuffle these throughout so you aren't just playing the pet robots, because that actually it felt like it slowed the game down a little bit. So moving on to who this expansion is for, it's pretty much anybody who wanted more options and a bit of spatial aspect
Thrown in,
because it is literally one of those, this is more. It's also one of those that if you don't want to play with it, you also don't have to play with it. I mean, the inventors are just
More options.
Yeah, just more options. And
You don't even need the robot pets
Right.
to play with them.
And if you really don't like what the robot pets add, you can just leave them out too, because the base deck is just so huge, which is why I shuffled the pets into the top half, is because we, as a 2-player game, don't go through half the deck. So that's kind of why I put it in the top half, because I wanted to see more. We saw too much. All right, well, I think that's everything, Will.
All right. And Sarah,
Yes.
did you think this expansion would make you think of our little robot vacuum?
No, I totally forgot that when we got our little robot vacuum, I don't know why I named him I even say name it him. Named it Puppy, but I figured because of growing up, if we dropped food on the ground when we had a dog at home,
they were the natural vacuum cleaner.
yeah, the dog was always there. Oh, don't worry, the dog will get it. And it's like, well, the dog, well, the puppy, the vacuum cleaner is getting dirt, not, well, actually some food particles.
Yes.
You drop popcorn under your chair all the time.
Because I'm celebrating.
What made you think of that?
I don't know. It just came to me. It's like, I think you mentioned a vacuum cleaner repurposed for a robot. I'm like, wait a minute. We have one of those.
We have a robot puppy.
We live the raising robot lifestyle, and you can too. Because we've been rolling with more. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Discord, we have a channel on Tabletop Express. Check the show notes for the invite link.
If you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.